Okay, today we're doing a deep dive into Leviticus chapter 16.
Right. And the timing in the text is crucial, isn't it? It's right after that um, quite shocking event.
The death of Aaron's sons, yeah. When they approached God in, well, an unauthorized way.
Exactly. So these instructions that follow feel incredibly weighty, very specific.
So our focus, really, just looking at this text, is understanding the rules given to Aaron, the high priest.
Mhm. How he can safely enter the most holy place, and crucially, how the atonement rituals work.
For himself, his family, and the whole community of Israel. It's about grasping how that divine relationship was mediated, based purely on what this chapter describes.
And the first thing that jumps out is the danger. It's stated right up front.
Yes, a really explicit warning to Aaron.
It says, tell Aaron your brother not to come at any time into the holy place inside the veil.
Before the mercy seat that is on the ark so that he may not die. That's blunt.
Extremely. And the reason given is just as direct.
What does it say?
For I will appear in the cloud over the mercy seat, or atonement cover, depending on the translation.
Ah, okay. So immediate danger linked to the divine presence. Entry isn't automatic, it's conditional.
Absolutely. Requires very specific preparation.
So let's unpack that preparation. It starts with Aaron himself, right? His personal readiness.
It does. He needs specific offerings just for himself first.
Which are?
A young bull for a sin offering and a ram for a burnt offering.
Okay. Bull for sin, ram for burnt offering. And it's not just offerings, there's clothing involved too.
Yes, very specific garments. Sacred linen garments. The text lists them. A linen tunic, linen undergarments worn next to his body, a linen sash, a linen turban.
All linen. Seems important.
It emphasizes their sacred nature. And there's a prerequisite even before putting them on.
Oh, what's that?
He has to bathe himself in water first. Then he puts on these holy garments.
Wow. Okay, so purification, special clothes, specific offerings, just for Aaron to be ready.
It really highlights the level of sanctity required for the approach.
And the community. Do they contribute offerings at this stage?
They do. The text says Aaron is to take 2 male goats from the congregation for a sin offering and 1 ram for a burnt offering.
2 goats and a ram. Got it. So those are for the people's atonement.
Precisely. They become central to the next part of the ritual.
All right, so let's get into the ritual itself. It seems to happen in stages. What's first?
First, Aaron deals with his own atonement. He sacrifices that bull he brought.
The one for his sin offering.
Yes, explicitly, to make atonement for himself and for his household. This happens before he goes behind the curtain.
Okay, so bull sacrificed. Then he actually enters the most holy place.
Yes, but he takes specific things with him.
What does he carry in?
He needs to take a censer full of burning coals from the altar that's before the Lord,
Okay, burning coals.
and 2 handfuls of finely ground, fragrant incense.
And what does he do with those inside?
He puts the incense on the fire inside before the Lord.
Why the incense smoke? What's its purpose there?
The text is very clear on this. So the cloud of incense covers the atonement cover, the mercy seat, over the testimony,
Covers it. Why?
so that he does not die. The smoke acts as a sort of shield or a necessary veil between him and the direct presence.
Fascinating. A protective cloud. What about the blood from the bull he sacrificed? Does that go into?
Yes, it does. After the incense, he takes some of the bull's blood.
And applies it somewhere.
He sprinkles it with his finger on the front of the atonement cover. Then he sprinkles it with his finger 7 times before the atonement cover.
7 times. That number feels significant again. Okay, so that covers Aaron's personal atonement within the most holy place. What about the people's offerings? The goats.
Right, that's the next phase. The 2 goats from the community are brought to the entrance of the tent of meeting.
And then?
He casts lots over them. One lot is designated for the Lord, the other for Azazel or the scapegoat.
Okay, lots are cast. What happens to the goat designated for the Lord?
That goat is sacrificed as the sin offering for the people.
And its blood. Is it treated like the bull's blood?
Exactly the same way. He takes its blood behind the curtain,
And sprinkles it.
sprinkles it on the atonement cover and before the atonement cover, just as he did with the bull's blood.
So both his blood and the people's blood are applied in the same way, in the most sacred spot. What does the text say this achieves? The blood inside the veil.
This is really the core explanation. It says he does this to make atonement for the holy place because of the uncleannesses of the people of Israel and because of their transgressions, all their sins.
Wait, so the place itself needs atonement because of the people's sins?
That's what it says. And not just the most holy place, but also the tent of meeting itself, which dwells with them in the midst of their uncleannesses. It suggests that people's sinfulness somehow pollutes even the sacred space.
That's a powerful idea. The sanctuary itself is affected.
And during this whole process, while Aaron is inside making atonement,
Yes.
no one else is allowed in the tent of meeting at all, from the time he enters until he comes out.
Underscoring his unique role in this.
Absolutely. He has to complete the atonement for himself, his household, and the whole community first.
Okay, so after the rites inside the most holy place and the tent of meeting are done, what's next? He comes out.
He comes out to the altar, the main altar before the Lord, outside the veil.
Does the altar also require atonement?
It does. The text is specific. He makes atonement for it using blood from both the bull and the sacrificed goat.
Both animals' blood now. How?
He puts some of the mixed blood on the horns of the altar, all around,
On the horns.
and then sprinkles the blood on the altar itself 7 times with his finger.
Why? Same reason.
Yes, to cleanse it and consecrate it from the uncleannesses of the people of Israel. Again, the theme of the people's impurity affecting the sacred objects.
It seems like this uncleanness permeates the whole setup described here.
It certainly seems to be presented that way. So, after the most holy place, the tent of meeting, and the altar are all atoned for. Then we get to the other goat.
Ah, the scapegoat, the one that wasn't sacrificed.
Correct. The live goat, the one chosen by Lot for Azazel. Now its role becomes clear.
What happens with it?
Aaron brings it forward, lays both his hands on its head. This is a key action.
Laying on of hands usually signifies transfer, doesn't it?
Exactly. And while his hands are on its head, he confesses over it all the iniquities of the people of Israel and all their transgressions, all their sins.
All of them. Wow.
Yes, the text emphasizes all. And it says he puts them on the head of the goat.
A symbolic transfer of the community's entire sin load onto this animal. And
Then he sends the goat away. It's led out into the wilderness by a man who is appointed for this task.
sent away, not killed. Why the wilderness?
A text explains its symbolic function. The goat shall bear all their iniquities on itself to a remote area, and he shall release the goat in the wilderness.
So the sins are literally carried away, removed from the camp. Banished.
It's a very powerful visual, isn't it? Sin being physically removed and taken to an uninhabited place.
Incredibly potent. Okay, so atonement made, sins sent away. What about cleanup? What happens to Aaron and the others involved?
Right, there are post-ritual procedures. Aaron goes back into the tent of meeting.
To do what?
He takes off those special linen garments he wore for the ceremony.
The sacred ones.
Yes, and he leaves them there in the tent of meeting. Then he bathes himself with water again in a holy place and puts his regular priestly garments back on.
More bathing. Purification seems constant. Are there final offerings after this?
There are. He comes out and offers his burnt offering, the ram he brought for himself, and the people's burnt offering, the ram they provided.
And the purpose of these burnt offerings?
The text states it's to make atonement for himself and for the people, that he burns the fat of the sin offerings on the altar.
What about the men who handled the goats? The scapegoat handler.
Good question. The man who released the scapegoat into the wilderness, he has to wash his clothes and bathe his body in water before he's allowed back into the camp.
Same purification rule. And the remains of the sacrificed animals. The bull and the goat whose blood went inside.
The remains, hides, flesh, dung, everything whose blood was used in the most holy place must be taken outside the camp.
Outside the camp entirely.
Yes, and burned completely with fire.
And the person who does the burning.
Same procedure. He also must wash his clothes and bathe his body in water before re-entering the camp. It drives home the separation needed after dealing with sin and the holiest rituals.
Okay. This whole incredibly detailed process, the text says it's not a one-off thing.
No, absolutely not. It concludes by establishing this as a lasting ordinance, a permanent statute.
This becomes the Day of Atonement, Yom Kippur.
Exactly. It specifies the date, the 10th day of the 7th month.
And on that specific day, what are the people supposed to do?
They shall afflict themselves, often translated as deny yourselves, and they must not do any work.
No work. And this self-denial, does this apply to everyone?
Yes, the text is clear. Whether the native born or the stranger who sojourns among you, everyone in the community.
And the reason for this day, this rest and self-denial.
For on this day shall atonement be made for you to cleanse you. You shall be clean from all your sins before the Lord.
So it's an annual cleansing, a designated Sabbath of solemn rest.
Precisely. Linked directly to that promise of being cleansed from all sin before God.
And it confirms who performs this each year,
Yes, it will be the priest who is anointed and consecrated to serve as high priest in his father's place. He performs a rite, wearing those same sacred linen garments.
making atonement for everything again. The holy place, the tent, the altar, the priests, all the people.
The full scope reaffirmed.
And the final word on it is,
This shall be a lasting statute for you, to make atonement for the people of Israel once a year for all their sins. It emphasizes the annual frequency and comprehensive nature.
so wrapping up this deep dive into Leviticus 16, we've seen the intense restrictions and dangers around the divine presence.
The very specific preparations for the high priest.
The complex, multi-stage ritual with blood application in the most holy place, the tent, the altar.
And that really striking symbolism of the scapegoat carrying the sins away.
Yeah, physically removing them. And finally, the establishment of this Day of Atonement as a lasting annual ordinance for cleansing the entire community.
The text really paints a picture of sin needing specific divinely commanded actions, sacrifice, purification, symbolic removal, to maintain that relationship between the people and God dwelling among them, done once a year.
It's quite a detailed system laid out here. So a final thought for you, our listener, drawing from this text. Consider that command for the whole community on this day of cleansing: deny yourselves. As you think about this ancient ritual aimed at dealing with all their sins annually, what might that act of self-denial truly signify in the context of being made clean before the Lord? Something to ponder.